Choosing yourself in a world that constantly pressures you to be chosen by someone else is one of the bravest decisions a woman can make. Society often equates a woman's value with her relationship status, quietly suggesting that being alone means being incomplete. But a woman who chooses herself understands that loneliness is not defined by the absence of a partner. It is defined by the absence of peace. She refuses to fill her life with noise just to avoid silence, because she knows that silence can be a place of healing, clarity, and strength. By standing alone, she proves that her happiness does not depend on someone else's presence, attention, or approval. This choice comes from deep self-awareness. She has learned, often through painful experiences, that not every connection is healthy and not every form of love is worth the cost. She has seen how emotional neglect, disrespect, and inconsistency can slowly drain a person's spirit. Instead of tolerating confusion, mixed signals, or emotional manipulation, she steps away with dignity. Choosing herself means setting boundaries that protect her mental and emotional well-being. It means saying no to relationships that demand her to shrink, compromise her values, or constantly prove her worth. When a woman prioritizes herself, she begins to redefine what strength looks like. Strength is no longer about enduring pain or staying in situations that hurt just to avoid being alone. Strength becomes the courage to walk away, even when it's difficult, even when others don't understand. She learns to sit with herself, to face her fears, and to heal the parts of her that once accepted less than she deserved. In this space, she builds a relationship with herself that is honest, compassionate, and empowering. Choosing yourself also shifts how you see love. Love is no longer something you chase or beg for. It becomes something that must meet you at your level of self-respect. A woman who chooses herself does not fear being alone because she knows the damage that comes from being with the wrong person. She understands that temporary companionship is not worth long-term emotional exhaustion. Her self-worth becomes so deeply rooted that no one can easily shake it, and she no longer measures her value by how desired she is, but by how peaceful and aligned she feels with her own life. Independence is not just about doing things alone. It is about discovering the depth of your own strength. When a woman lives her life without relying on a boyfriend for emotional stability, financial support, or constant reassurance, she begins to realize how capable she truly is. Every decision she makes, whether big or small, becomes a reminder that she can trust herself. She learns to listen to her own voice instead of seeking approval, and that habit slowly builds confidence that no one can take away from her. As she navigates life independently, challenges no longer feel like threats, but opportunities to grow. Problems force her to think, adapt, and push forward rather than wait for someone else to fix things. With each obstacle she overcomes on her own, her belief in herself grows stronger. Confidence formed this way is different from confidence given by compliments or validation. It is rooted in experience, in proof, in knowing that she has survived difficult moments and still stood tall. This inner power stays with her in every room she enters and in every conversation she holds. Independence also teaches emotional strength. She learns how to sit with her feelings instead of escaping them through distractions or unhealthy attachments. When sadness appears, she does not panic. When fear shows up, she faces it. This emotional maturity allows her to respond instead of react, to choose calm over chaos, and to protect her peace even in stressful situations. She becomes emotionally stable not because life is easy, but because she has trained herself to handle it. Financial and personal responsibility further strengthen her sense of self. Managing her own life goals and priorities creates discipline. She learns the value of planning, patience, and consistency. Each achievement, no matter how small, reinforces her confidence. She begins to see herself as reliable, capable, and deserving of respect. This self-trust becomes the foundation of her independence. As her inner power grows, her presence changes. She no longer walks into spaces trying to prove herself or seek attention. Her confidence is quiet, steady, and undeniable. She knows who she is and what she brings to the table. This independence does not make her cold or distant. It makes her grounded. She becomes a woman who stands firm in her identity, secure in her abilities, and unshaken by the opinions of others. Waiting is often misunderstood in a world that glorifies instant connection and quick commitment. Many people believe that if you are not rushing into a relationship, you are afraid or lacking confidence. But a woman who chooses to wait understands something deeper. She knows that real wisdom comes from patience and self-control. She is not driven by fear of being alone or by the pressure of watching others move ahead. Instead, she moves according to her own timing, trusting that forcing the wrong relationship can cost her years of peace and progress. This kind of waiting is intentional. It is not passive or empty, but full of purpose. During this time, she observes, learns, and grows. She reflects on past experiences and recognizes patterns she no longer wants to repeat. Rather than ignoring red flags for the sake of companionship, she pays attention to them. She understands that rushing into emotional attachment without clarity can lead to regret, heartbreak, and emotional exhaustion. By waiting, she protects her heart and honors her standards. A woman who waits also learns to be comfortable with uncertainty. She does not need immediate guarantees or constant reassurance to feel secure. This comfort allows her to make clearer decisions instead of emotional ones. She becomes less reactive and more thoughtful, choosing long-term stability over short-term excitement. Waiting teaches her to value quality over quantity and depth over speed. Through patience, she builds emotional wholeness. She does not expect another person to heal her wounds or fill her emptiness. Instead, she takes responsibility for her own healing and happiness. By the time love enters her life, she is not searching for rescue or validation. She is complete, aware, and grounded. Waiting becomes her strength because it keeps her aligned with her values and focused on the life she is intentionally creating. When a woman removes distractions from her life, especially emotional distractions, she gains something priceless: focus. Without the constant demands of maintaining a relationship, explaining herself, or managing emotional ups and downs, her energy is redirected toward growth. She begins to see how much time and mental space she once gave away, and now that space becomes a foundation for building herself. Self-growth becomes her priority, not because she is avoiding love, but because she understands that becoming her best version requires attention, discipline, and consistency. This season allows her to invest deeply in her goals. Whether it is education, career, business, creativity, or personal development, she starts showing up for herself with commitment. She learns new skills, sharpens her mindset, and pushes past limits she once thought were fixed. Growth becomes intentional. She no longer waits for motivation from others. She creates it from within. Each small improvement adds confidence and clarity, reinforcing the belief that she is capable of shaping her own future. Mental and emotional health also take center stage. She begins to understand her triggers, heal old wounds, and unlearn unhealthy patterns. Instead of suppressing pain, she faces it with honesty. Journaling, reflection, prayer, or quiet moments become tools for self-awareness. In this process, she learns how to regulate her emotions, communicate better, and maintain inner balance. This emotional intelligence strengthens her relationships with family, friends, and even herself. Self-growth also means redefining priorities. She becomes selective about where she invests her time and energy. Not everyone deserves access to her inner world. She learns the power of saying no without guilt and choosing rest without feeling lazy. Her standards rise because she now understands her value. Growth teaches her that peace is productive and that rest is part of progress. As she evolves, her identity becomes stronger. She is no longer shaped by external validation or comparison. She measures success by alignment, not approval. This phase of self-growth transforms her from someone who seeks direction into someone who creates it. Her life begins to reflect intention, purpose, and inner fulfillment, rather than emotional dependency or outside expectations. A strong woman understands that chasing attention often leads to disappointment, while standing firmly in self-worth creates natural attraction. She no longer feels the urge to prove herself, impress others, or compete for someone's interest. Her confidence is not loud or demanding. It is calm, grounded, and deeply rooted in knowing who she is. This inner assurance shifts her behavior and energy, making her presence noticeable without effort. People are drawn to her not because she seeks them, but because she is comfortable within herself. When a woman stops chasing, she also stops tolerating inconsistency. She does not overextend, overexplain, or lower her standards to keep someone around. She understands that real interest shows itself through actions, respect, and consistency. By refusing to run after attention, she protects her dignity and emotional health. This self-control sends a clear message. Her time and energy are valuable, and only those who respect that will have access to her. Attraction, in this sense, is not about appearance or perfection. It comes from alignment. A woman who knows her worth moves differently. She speaks with clarity, listens with intention, and carries herself with quiet confidence. Her boundaries are firm but not harsh. She does not fear losing people because she trusts that what is meant for her will stay. This mindset frees her from anxiety and desperation, replacing it with patience and discernment. As she focuses on her own growth and happiness, the right people begin to notice. Not because she is trying to be noticed, but because authenticity is magnetic. She invests in her purpose, passions, and peace, and this fulfillment reflects outward. People sense when someone is whole and self-sufficient. It creates respect before attraction and trust before emotional attachment. By not chasing, she also learns to observe. She watches how people show up, how they communicate, and how they treat her without pressure. This allows her to make wiser choices about who deserves her time. Her strength lies in restraint, in knowing that attention gained through chasing is temporary, but respect earned through self-worth is lasting. She becomes a woman who attracts meaningful connections by simply being rooted in her truth and honoring her own values.